Laura, and today we're going to be working on the follow-up to one of my most popular videos, which is the wrist pain relief and treatment for carpal tunnel, which I made a few years ago, and it's taken me a little while to do the second version. So we'll start out just in a comfortable seat. You can even do this in a chair since we're just working on the upper body. But if you're on the floor, make sure you're sitting on something so that your spine is nice and straight. We want to start by actually loosening up the shoulders and the upper back before we even start to work on the hands, because we'll get better results that way. So we're going to roll up and then squeeze down and back. And this is a good place to start that deep breath. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, squeeze down and back. A lot of times when we have wrist and hand problems going on, there's also some issues up here. The shoulders are either tight, the upper back is weak. So we want to start with the root of the problem. And then we'll just shrug up and let them drop down a few times. Okay, then you're going to swim one shoulder and then the other shoulder back. And then forward. You'll feel that loosening up your back, which is what we want. And come back into center. So we're going to start just shaking the hands. Start gently, like your hands are wet. You just washed them and you're trying to shake the water off. And then if it feels okay, you can start to put a little bit more power behind it and let that shake roll all the way up to the shoulders, trying to shake all that tension out. And we're just going to start circling the wrists one way, and then circling the wrists the other way. And you can switch back and forth a few times. Give them a little shake. So now we'll do the same thing with a fist. Circle down and around. Take some the opposite direction. Now we'll take the arms out front. You're going to bend those fists straight down. Make sure the arms straighten, that you're not hiking the shoulders up really high. Keep the shoulders down. Bend the wrists that way and then flip the palms away. Flip it back and forth. Okay. Then we're going to go into probably what's the most important of the stretches for the muscles in your forearm, which are the muscles that control your fingers. But we'll start with the arms straight out, fingers down. Grab a hold of the back of the palm, and I'm using my thumb for some leverage here. And bring that down. You should get a good stretch up here into the forearm. This is where we get tennis elbow. And then flip the hand over with the palm facing away from you. And just start by pulling on the palm. And this is opening up that carpal tunnel area, the area where all the tendons and nerves and blood supply have to go through to get into your hand. So we'll switch and do just one finger. You can feel those individual tendons being pulled. And we do that because we want them to each be able to slide back and forth through the carpal tunnel really easily. And then the last thing I'll do is grab the thumb and rotate it down toward the floor a little bit. Get a stretch in your forearm. Then you're going to walk out a little bit and just pull until you feel a stretch here. Don't pull really hard. It's just a gentle stretch. Circle them out. Shake them. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Take your hands straight out. Grab a hold of the palm. Draw your fingers down toward the floor. Try to get that stretch up into your forearm. Let your shoulder relax. Flip the palm over. start by drawing the fingers down, get that stretch to the underside of the wrist. Now the important thing that makes this a yoga practice instead of just sitting here and stretching is the fact that you're deep breathing and you're really mindful of every sensation that you're getting from these movements. Now let's start drawing each of the fingers back individually. Reach underneath, grab the meat of the thumb right here and rotate it so that you're turning your forearm all the way over. And then you can grab the end of your thumb and give out a little stretch down. Very gently on that. Okay, then release. We'll shake. We'll take the hands out front. We're going to go into a fist, then down, roll up, and open the fingers back. Fist, roll back. Try to emphasize that movement at the end range, especially if you're pulling hands down. Stretch the forearms, roll it back and open. That's how we get those tendons to glide. Stretch the fingers as wide as you can when the palms go back. Now, if you do have carpal tunnel right now and you're getting active symptoms, you want to avoid anything that causes any kind of shooting pain or any kind of numbness or tingling. When you go all the way back like this, if you feel numbness or tingling, then back out of it a little bit. Don't go quite as far. Anytime you have sharp pain, numbness, tingling, it means that there's pressure on a nerve, and we don't ever want to go there. Now we're going to go straight up, roll the fingers right into the pad of the palm like that, squeeze down into a fist. Come up, straight, roll it down and squeeze. This is just another move to make sure that the tendons are sliding the way that they should. And you can tip it back. Forward. Not a whole lot of stretching on this one, but it's just making sure everything is gliding. Alright, now we're going to do a little bit of traction with the wrist joint, which is really important for creating space. We start by just taking the left hand, hold on to the right wrist right around that skinny part there. And then you just start to squeeze, and you'll feel what happens when you squeeze. There's a separation between the hand and the bones in the forearm. If you're trying to pop your hand off of your arm. And then we'll switch to the other hand, grab right around the wrist, and then just squeeze to create that space, that distance. Now, another technique for tractioning, we're going to take the hands, one thumb down, one thumb up, and then hold like almost like you're shaking somebody's hand upside down. Pull your elbows apart. Try to pull your hands apart. And that's going to create really good traction, really good space in your wrist joint. And it's also good because it's strengthening the muscles in your upper back, which really needs to be addressed if you're having wrist problems. So let's switch. Take the thumbs the other way. Grab the hands together and traction. And then release the hands down. So you can do the same thing with your fingers. You're going to squeeze thumb and the index finger right down to the tip and then give a little traction. Squeeze down and then traction at the fingertip. This is going to help with the circulation into your hands. Pull. And then same thing on the other side. Squeeze all the way down and traction at the end. Sometimes you'll get a nice little crack in your knuckle. little circle. So to go along with that, we're going to give ourselves a forearm massage. And we need to remember that most of the time when we're having things like carpal tunnel and issues with our hand tension, pain in the wrists, we have to address the muscles that are up in the forearm because they get really tight. So we're just going to wrap the hands around and squeeze from top to bottom. Helps to create some good circulation as well as giving pressure into the muscles, especially with your thumb underneath. I'm walking down. These are the muscles and the tendons that close your hand flexors and your wrist flexors. So those get really tight from gripping, from typing, from pushing buttons, anything like that, holding onto things. And then switch to the other side. If you find a spot that's really tender, which you might, especially down here, this is where we get golfer's elbow, or up here where we get tennis elbow. If you want to work into there with your fingers, that's a really good idea. Then we'll take another traction technique. I'm going to take my left hand, hold on to my right hand above the wrist, so over the joint. And then I'm going to try to pull it apart. My elbow's reaching that way, my hand is reaching this way. And then I do a little side to side movement, like that. And then a little up and down movement. So we're creating traction and then moving up and down and side to side. And then let's switch that to the other side. Take a hold of the hand. Pull out in opposite directions to create space between the bones. We'll start to move up and down and side to side. A little tricky to get the movements and maintain the traction, but it gets easier with practice. Okay. Now let's flip the hands over and bring them down onto the mat. So depending on how your wrists feel, you might be able to go a little bit farther. But basically what you want to do is just get the palms of the hands down and then start to gently lean yourself back. If that's too much, then come forward and ease out of it a little bit, but find that comfortable stretch, find that edge. Okay, and then we'll flip the hands over so that the palms are facing up and fingers are facing toward you. And now we're stretching into that very important lateral epicondyle area where we get tennis elbow. You can do some movements with your fingers when you're doing that. Let's flip the hands so that the fingers face in toward each other. And we'll open and close. Feels kind of weird because the way that your wrist is bent, you don't have a lot of power in your hands. But again, opening and closing gives you that glide with your tendons. Okay, and then we'll go back into palm down, fingers toward you. Breathe yourself into it. If you've been having wrist pain or tension here, it's probably pretty tight, pretty intense sensation. And if you get to that point where it's so intense that you can't breathe freely, that's your body telling you it wants you to back off. That's the safety mechanism. Now we'll flip palms up again. And I'm not actually putting any body weight into this stretch. I'm using my belly to hold myself back, and I'm just going into the shape and then leaning into it the tiniest bit. And then flip the hands to face toward each other. Open and close a few times. Okay. And then circle it out. Now we'll do a quick little movement for the thumb. We're going to draw the thumb into the palm, make a fist with the other fingers around it, and then press down toward the floor so that you're stretching right along the back of your thumb. Very important tendon. And then you can release and press down. And you might feel it all the way up into your forearm if you're tight. Release your thumb, take the points of the thumbs together and the index finger together so that you can stretch the web space in between. Good. Okay, a little finger wiggle. So then we're going to take some movements for the shoulders because we have to release the tension that's up here in order to get the best effect down here. And we're going to do that with a really effective neck stretch. So we sit up straight and then take the head over to the side like you're trying to touch your ear toward your shoulder, and it's straight over to the side. Don't go into any rotation or anything yet. And as you're doing that, take your other hand, push it down toward the floor. And then what you're going for is a stretch from the base of your skull down into the top of the shoulder. And then you can start to tip your head forward. Now bring the stretch a little bit farther back in your neck. And keep reaching the outside hand down. Lift the head back up. Make it parallel to the floor and drop the ear toward the shoulder. Now we take the right arm out to the side and push into the palm of the hand like you're trying to push the wall away. You'll start to feel some sensation down through your wrist, maybe through your shoulder. These are the nerves that come out from your neck, branch out through your shoulder and come down into your hand. It's a kind of a strange sensation, but we want to create a little bit of tension and then release that tension so that we make sure that the nerves aren't being pinched anywhere. One more deep breath here. On your exhale, keep the head over to the side, let the fingers float down, and keep reaching out through them to get longer and sink the shoulder even more. And come back up to center, and we'll do that on the other side. Tip your head straight over. Start to reach the outside arm down to settle the shoulder. Tip the head forward. Feel that stretch move back a little bit. Bring the head back into parallel to the floor. Lift the left arm straight out and then press through the palm, fingers up or fingers back. Reaching out as much as you can, even creating space in the shoulder. Take your exhale, lower down, reach through the fingers, get longer and longer through the left arm. To center. Let's take the hands together and just do some rolling with the wrists, really gently. And then you can go back and forth a few times, and then up and down a few times, just to make sure everything is nice and loose. Then we'll take the palms of the hands together, draw them back into the heart, flip your fingers so that they're pointing down toward the floor, and let your shoulders drop down. There's a tendency that as soon as you do that turn, the shoulders will hike up. So reaching down with the fingertips, lowering the shoulders down. Start to draw the heel of the hand up toward you until you get a good opening through the carpal tunnel area. Now this is one of those stretches where it's good to do as long as you feel stretch, but if you get to a point where your hand starts to get numb or tingly, then you want to take yourself out of it, do a little shake, do a little stretch here and there. Make sure that nothing is pinching on the nerve. Because if you do have a lot of inflammation right now and you go into this strong bend, there's a chance that you could get some pressure on the nerve. So no tingling, no numbness while you hold here. And then flip the fingers back up and press down through the heel of the hand. We're going to take the hands palm onto palm, but facing the opposite way, and then hook your fingers. This is another traction technique. With the fingers hooked, you're going to try to open the elbows out to the sides. Create space in your wrist joint. Make sure that your shoulder blades are settled down the back, your neck is long. And we'll release and go the other way. Hook the fingers, pull them together, open out to the sides. And then release the hands down. Take a couple circles, shake them out. Let that shake go all the way up to the shoulder. So hopefully you're nice and loose now. My suggestion is that if you've been having problems with your wrists and with your hands or even with your forearms, that you want to pair this program with a program to strengthen your upper back, to work on your posture, and to make sure that your shoulder blades have the strength to stay where they're supposed to be on your back. When we start to get rounded, that's going to transfer lots of tension down into the hands. That bad posture pinches the nerves, causes all sorts of problems there. So we have to go back up to the root of the problem and make sure we're strengthening the upper back as well as working on the hands. So hopefully that helps you, and let me know what you'd like to see for videos in the future. Namaste.